Hi all! Today I'll be showing you a traditional method of marbling clay. Marbling is a decorative technique where ceramics is made to look like marble. In this technique, layers of alternating color of underglaze are painted over the surface of ceramics, then carved through to achieve a marbled effect. Before you start, protect your work surface with a board or newspaper. You will need your underglazes of choice, carving tools, a flat brush, and it's always handy to have some water and a sponge around. For my layers, I'll be using blue, then yellow, then topping it all off with black. When painting, you may have to apply multiple coats of the same color so that your underglaze layers will be thick enough. This is important for when you carve into the layers so that you'll be able to see the various layers of colors appear. Before moving on to another coat of underglaze, make sure your prior layer is dry to the touch. This way you'll be building layers of underglaze versus just spreading around the same wet layer. I'm using a heat gun to speed up the drying time. You can also use a hairdryer to accelerate this process. All in all, I'll be painting 6 coats of underglaze. That's 2 coats of blue, then 2 coats of yellow, then 2 coats of black. When choosing what color of underglaze to use for your layers, keep in mind what color your clay turns into after it has been fired. My clay turns white when fired, so it would make no sense for me to have the first underglaze layer to be white, since there would be no contrast between the 2 layers. When switching from one color of underglaze to the next, make sure you clean your brushes thoroughly, rinsing out not only the bristles, but the metal portion of the brush as well, just to ensure you don't mix colors when switching between layers. Your final layer of underglaze should be painted the neatest, especially if you choose to work selectively when creating your marble designs, leaving large sections of surface area uncarved. Now that you have all your layers painted, with the surface of your form dry to the touch, it's time to carve through the layers. Your trimming tools will give you a variety of effects. The rounded end of your narrow trimming tool will give you rounded speckled spots. The corners of the square side of your narrow trimming tool will allow you to create controlled thin lines. And the wide trimming tool will create a more widely speckled design with bigger chunks of color showing through. It's important to experiment with how much pressure you carve with. Carve gently at first so you know how much pressure to apply to reveal each layer. As you get the hang of it, and get to understand the layers you're working with better, you'll know how much pressure to apply when carving the rest of your form. This process does take time, having to wait for each layer to dry before painting on the next. It took me about 1 hour to carve each of these forms, drying time included, using a heat gun to speed up the process. It may take you longer, especially when taking a learning curve into consideration, and most definitely if you don't plan on using a heat gun or a hairdryer. But if done correctly, the end results can be truly striking and extremely satisfying, so it's definitely worth a try.